So, first guys, how are you?
We're doing great.
We're holding up all right.
Almost at the end of this European tour, but
we're doing all right considering we've gotten very little sleep in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Why not? Just because of touring, or?
Yeah, just
being on tour
you're in a different city every day, and we gotta do the morning radio show at 5 a.m. and that's part of the job. It's not a vacation out here. It's work.
Okay. Well, before we talk about the upcoming record, I'd like to go back just a little bit. I'll start with you, Mayor. Do you remember the first album you ever bought?
The first record that I bought with my own money was The Police, Synchronicity.
And why this album?
Really, it was because I borrowed my dad's album and I played it so much that I broke his cassette tape. I popped the tape, so he got mad at me and he made me buy him a new copy. But I loved that album so much that I played it over and over and over again. And
what did you like about their music?
Man, you know what? I don't know. I think it was just like something about the melodies of it and the way that they combined so many different styles of music and made like a new sound that it didn't sound like anything else.
And then, was this an inspiration in that sense for you as well? Then
absolutely, yeah, for sure. Yeah. The Police was a massive influence on me musically.
And Jake, for you, did you listen to the Police at all?
My mom actually used to play the Police a bit. The first album I got that was like literally my record was Street Songs by Rick James.
Okay.
So my dad took me to the dentist, and I had to be like 6, 7 years old, and told me if I didn't cry, he would take me to the record store and buy a record. So I held it together, didn't cry, and ended up with Street Songs.
Why did you pick that one, that particular one?
I think I just love the song Super Freak.
I
like the attitude.
I can't believe your dad let you buy that record when you were...
I didn't know the meaning of what he was talking about and stuff like that.
He let you buy Super Freak when you were 6 years old.
But I don't know. I guess just the rebelliousness and the attitude in the music, I think, spoke to me, and it was funky, like it was what everybody around me was listening to. So, kids in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Rick James, I feel like, made such like, I don't know. It was just like he was such a character that I feel like it appealed to kids.
Yeah, definitely. Like the older neighbors I had, they were like teenagers at that time. He was like, he was one of their favorites, so that's how I got into it.
Well, but Mayor mentioned it already, but it is quite, for a young kid to be drawn to that is quite...
Yeah, that's crazy. I wasn't as cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it was just, it was really just the people that watched me and my neighbors and stuff. It wasn't like I found that on my own at that age.
But when it came to making the Tuxedo record, then, because you were quite young in that era, I believe you were born in '79 and Jake had
76,
okay.
yeah.
So you were quite young when that kind of music was coming out.
Yeah.
So did you kind of go back? Did you relive some of those days, or at least sonically?
We both definitely, going into it, just even how we met was through discovering that music, which we really came to
much later,
in the 90s through G-Funk.
Okay.
So, the Dre album, the Snoop album, the Warren G album, Nate Dogg stuff, DJ
Cat.
Quit, all those guys used a lot of music from that era. They would replay it or whatever, and once we kind of, would hear that, you fall in love with it that way. But then you're like, oh, it comes from Lionel Richie. There was the Lionel Richie joint,
Snoop Dogg sampling Bernard Wright.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh, I'm going to go get that album.
Oh, I need to find that album. And then, damn, this album is really good.
Yeah. So that kind of planted
this thing.
That era right there planted the seeds for us to even try to do something like this 10 years later,
Right.
Definitely.
So around that period, the G-Funk period, you were a little bit older, I think, more as a person developing your own
style. That was our music,
that was our generation, yeah.
I was a teenager, I was DJing, I was even making beats probably when the first Snoop album came out. I was making my own little beats. They didn't sound like that because I couldn't play synthesizers or nothing, but it was something I always wanted to do. definitely.
And well, you mentioned your first meeting, so just quickly, when did you first meet?
We met in '06. He came through Seattle playing a rap show.
Yeah.
I was there. And I had my mixtape on me, AR Music, and we had a common friend, this guy, House Shoes. I remember House Shoes telling me like, yeah, there's this guy out here in Ann Arbor. He's like into that same kind of stuff you're into, because it was looked at like it was funny. You
It was
know what I mean?
weird, like,
oh man, you like that disco
yeah,
stuff.
we were
Like,
weird at the time. Everybody thought we were crazy for liking.
it was
those
even
records.
the same way for me. Like J-Rock told me about Dame Funk. Like, yeah, man, there's this dude out here and he plays the same. He likes that same kind of like stuff you like.
Yeah.
You know, like it was like a, you know, some like really odd thing.
Right.
But yeah, so we connected through those mixtapes, stayed in touch, and eventually he started singing, and then I started making tracks that were more in the vein of the stuff on the mixtapes, and we just kind of came together and made some songs for fun.
When did it become more than just fun?
I would say,
It still hasn't.
yeah, it still isn't really. I mean, this is the first thing that was like, wow, we're like out here really
You know,
performing and doing all, you know, on TV. It's definitely a little more depth to the situation
it's
than it was.
a little more serious now, but I think the awesome thing about this project is that both Jake and I have enough success individually where we didn't need to do this album.
Yeah.
We really did it for fun, for ourselves. You know.
Was it difficult then, because as you mentioned, you both have successful careers in your own area. Was it difficult to find the time then to come together?
That's why it took so long.
That's why
I
it
mean,
took
really,
like 6 years to make this album.
yeah, that was the biggest thing. More him just being on tour.
I was on
like,
tour a lot. Yeah, I mean, doing a couple hundred shows a year, and that's just really hard to find time to, and then I'm making my own albums also.
So we would get together.
And this will be my third album release in a year.
Right, yeah, fair enough.
So we would get together for like 3-4 days at a time, and I'd play them the stuff I worked on, and we'd come up with songs basically for them, but really rough ideas until we got enough that we felt good about, and then we kind of started honing in on them.
We could have made it faster if we would have just sent stuff back and forth over the internet, but we didn't want to do that.
Why not?
Because it's just not as fun, and the music doesn't come out as good.
I think especially in this situation, I was so new to making like songs like this that, my format was still pretty hip hop in the way I was sending him stuff. So we need to be together to be, he'd be like, we got to take this part out, we got to add a bridge here, and he definitely was hands on as far as like how he arranged the tracks. And we did so much adding to them. Yeah, and it was something we kind of had to be in the room to bounce ideas off each other.
Right, to be in the same room with each other and to bounce ideas back and forth, and it's priceless, man. You can't. It feels like so much more of a partnership.
Right.
Yeah.
Then when you were working on the tracks, was it difficult because, as you say, well, you have a hip hop background, so was it difficult not to revert back to those tricks that you used for?
I think inherently whatever I do just kind of has a hip hop feel to it. Like the stuff that I did solely on my own on the record to me sounds super hip hop. Definitely. Yeah. And then
Can
the ones.
Give me an example?
Like Watch the Dance. Like that to me sounds like a rap beat. Like it kind of is.
Yes.
It's fast. Though.
I don't hear that.
It's fast.
I mean, it all has major hip hop influence, because that's where we both come from.
Yeah.
I mean, that's our shit.
Or even the first song, Lost Lover, like I actually programmed that one on the ASR. So I was doing the same formula as I had done before. Same thing with number one.
That one has a little more hip hop feel to it.
Just the drums are really heavy on those two particular records. But it was, I think as we went on with it, we kind of found our stride in exactly what we wanted it to be.
He was always trying to pull the tempo down.
I want everything to be slow.
To be slower, and I was pushing to speed everything up.
That was probably our biggest struggle.
I wanted people to dance to the music, I wanted to make a record for dancing,
Well, for you, because your own work is quite especially content-wise, is quite different. So in this sense, that you say you wanted people to dance. So was that a fun thing to do? Just to
Yeah, it's hella fun, man. It's so much
have
fun.
something.
It was so carefree. Even,
Yeah.
you know, like something like So Good. I played him the track and he literally came up with a hook.
Yeah, I would
Immediately and was like,
I wrote all these songs.
That's it.
Most of the time, he would send me the track, and if it was like something that I liked, then I would write the song right there, really fast, you know. And it was nice to just, you know, to not think so hard about some music and just let it come out.
It was just
you know?
about feeling.
It was all about feeling, yeah.
So at what point then do you know if a song would make it in that sense?
We didn't, because there wasn't exactly the plan for what the album was going to be.
We recorded
so,
like 25 songs or something.
So some of the better ones, you know, he took a couple for his album.
Yeah, I did steal a couple for my album. Yeah.
But kind of married them up a little more, if you could use that word. Like Designer Drug definitely had a different feel initially. They kind of reproduced it more for what the album was sounding like.
Yeah.
Henny and Ginger Ale was pretty close to the same vibe.